YouTube, Poetic Flacco. Okay, we haven't watched a Poetic Flacco video before, but this video is titled "What They Found in David's Phone Horrified Everyone in the Courtroom." So, I'm aware of what's going on with the David and Celeste murder. Sad, very sad situation. I don't know what he's gonna cover in this video. I'm sure what's going on, the evidence that's been uncovering as of late, but I haven't. Well, hopefully he gives us an update on what's going on in the case. So we're probably going to follow the case lightly as, his sentencing and trial continues or starts. So let's just see what Flacco got to say. Let's watch.
What prosecutors revealed they found in David's phone at his court date today made everybody in the room stomach turn. It was horrifying. This degenerate freak really murdered that little girl and thought he was never going to get caught. He thought he committed the perfect crime. He thought, there's no evidence. He cleaned up his tracks good enough. He thought they was never going to find out. He was never going to get arrested, and that's evident by how he was moving. Celeste was murdered, according to officials, back in April of 2025. I think she was murdered much longer before then, but if we're going with the official timeline, she was murdered back in April.
Looking at this nigga.
She wasn't discovered dead until September. He had about 6 months to clean up his tracks, and he thought he did a good enough job. He wasn't officially charged with anything until April of 2026. That means that's the entire year since he murdered Celeste. Now, he knew he was under investigation since September. That means he knew he was under investigation for about 6 months. But, his arrogance didn't really allow him to think that he was going to get caught, because when he was eventually arrested, this dude has so much evidence on his phone, not of what he did to Celeste, but of other things that you would think that if somebody knew or had expectation they was going to get arrested for something this horrific and knew their phone was going to be a pivotal part of this investigation, that they would at least clean up their phone. But this dude was so arrogant and so cocky, he didn't even bother to even touch.
I want his whole crew to go down, like him and all the people he hang with, because obviously she was around. I've seen a couple of details about this case when she was first discovered. Discovered, and the internet was doing the internet things, and there were so many friends and so many families and so many whatever people who idolized him or followed him on tours and stuff like that who seen this little girl, and nobody said nothing. Nobody did nothing. I want everybody charged.
Or erase his phone or erase illegal things from his phone.
A hearing just wrapped up for singer David in his first-degree murder case.
The prosecution revealed details about disturbing digital evidence. Let's get to CBS LA's Rick Montanez with what we learned in court today. Rick, what are you hearing?
Amy, Chris, the hearing just wrapped up within the half hour here, and cameras were not allowed in court, but I can tell you that the defendant, David Burke, was in court today in shackles and wearing that orange jumpsuit. The biggest new piece of evidence revealed, prosecutors say a significant amount of child found on Burke's cell phone. We also want to point out that this all happens one day after the medical examiner's report became public. That is the report on the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The report says, or I should say the family of Rivas Hernandez is absolutely devastated to learn the gruesome details contained in that write-up. That's according to a family statement. So this report says the 14-year-old girl died of sharp force trauma, but the autopsy was difficult because of the severe decomposition of her dismembered body when it was found in the singer's abandoned Tesla last September. Officials say she died 5 months earlier in April of last year. Burke, the suspect known by his stage name David, was arrested last Thursday. On Monday, he pled not guilty to the capital murder charges. We spoke with a former federal prosecutor just a short time ago here on CBS LA Mornings about this new evidence revealed in today's hearing and the fact that David's phone, according to prosecutors, contains child.
And obviously, we don't know if it's Celeste Rivas's images and videos or something else, but that is a significant offense. Obviously, it helps prosecutors prove the sex crimes, the lewd and lascivious, Penal Code Section 288, but it's also a separate crime in and of itself. And it's certainly the possibility that the feds even step into this case because they typically will prosecute these types of child cases.
They described it as a phone full of child porn. Now, am I surprised that this weirdo who's currently on trial for engaging in inappropriate activities with a 14-year-old girl and then murdering her because she was going to reveal it to the world, am I shocked that that person has a phone full of child porn, have gigabytes of child porn? I'm not surprised at all, not one bit. right? Not one bit. I feel like what's even more surprising is that it wasn't deleted or it wasn't gone. He really thought he was safe. Like, he really thought they was never coming for him. There's no evidence more clear that he thought he was never going to get caught and he was Teflon Don.
I think he don't care. He just don't care. Like, this is a murderer we're speaking about. It's not that, oh, I'm never going to get caught. He doesn't care. Like, he literally does not care. If he cared an ounce, we wouldn't be even having this case. You know what I'm saying?
Was complaining that he was doing too much partying. And this was happening during the investigation. Like, Celeste's body was found. They went to a grand jury. They was like interviewing people, trying to get a murder charge on him. And he was at his hideout home in the Hollywood Hills partying and having a good old time while they investigating this little girl's murder.
Then today, NBC4 Investigates obtained surveillance video that appears to show the defense attorney near the police scene minutes later. This afternoon, Blair Burke returned to the home where police arrested the singer and made no comments as she left.
The DA? I guess the check, huh?
One neighbor actually told me that he's relieved that there was an arrest because he said that there have often been parties at this home. I asked if he's heard parties here recently. He said it's an ongoing problem. Either way, on Monday, we're expected to get our first look at David as he's expected in court in person in downtown Los Angeles.
I'm more interested in knowing who the clout whores and monsters were that were still hanging out and partying with this dude, because he can't party with himself. If there were parties, there were other people there. Who were the people that were still comfortable partying with this dude, knowing like he was under investigation for what he did to Celeste? Like, even if you want to say, hey, man, I didn't know that he actually murdered her. I thought it was all lies. But you knew he was still having relations with this little girl, and you were still comfortable partying. The only people who I see really comfortable.
Bro, I feel like that's a common occurrence. I don't even want to say in Hollywood. Like, think of somebody you know in your community or family. Hopefully y'all don't know nobody. But like a lot of these crazy people, I don't even have the right word. I want to say abusers, but this is past abuse. I want to say, rapists, but this is past rape. You know what I'm saying? They all get to still, come around. They all get to still stay in the houses and visit the families and come around. And in the industry, they get to still go to the parties and nobody cares because, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is common. Like, people don't give a damn. Nobody has any morals. Nobody stands on shit.
Partying with someone like David, or people who believe they are like David, or people who have similar interests or secrets like David, which is why I believe, man, even if we can't prove that anybody at that party actually did something, man, they need to be under investigation.
Yes.
Like, they need to be put on a registry, man. David friends. We need to know who his friends were so people can stay away from him, bro. Because it's not like they was partying with him before her body got discovered. No, right? These were parties that started happening after David came back to LA after going to Texas briefly to hide out. This was in the middle of the investigation. There needs to be a list of names that are part of David's entourage and his network of people. Because I'm not buying David is doing all these things alone. The same way they try to get us to buy that he murdered Celeste by himself, that Celeste came over to his house on, I think, April 23rd or 24th, and he murdered her, and then she was never to be seen again, and he's the one who did all of this by himself. I'm not buying that, bruh. Especially after I seen the autopsy report and found out exactly what happened. I don't think David was able to do this himself, then hop on a plane the next day to go and party and have an album roll out and start his tour, and nobody was there to help him either hide his body, chop up this body, dismember this body, and hide it for him. I don't think David, who was on an active tour, was actively hiding and moving Celeste's body all across Los Angeles County, bruh.
Just received the autopsy report from the medical examiner in Celeste Rivas's death, for which David is now charged with her murder. And there are some interesting things, and we talked about this before, that we knew that the coroner had ruled this, the medical examiner ruled this a homicide, but we didn't know the cause of death. And the DA said they were stabbed, there was some kind of sharp
instrument was used.
Now we know, and what they're saying is there were two wounds in particular, and that they believe, and they use the word may, and the word may is going to be really important, which we'll talk about, that they may be penetrating wounds, which would not be wounds to dismember a body.
Right, because of where they are, they believe, is, I think, the main, and also
and the way they describe it is they describe two penetrating wounds, one on the abdomen and one on the chest, and they describe them as, they tell you the depth and the length of these, and they say they have smooth edges. The indication seems to me that some sort of knife was plunged into her, and it left smooth edges.
The key is the length of the wounds. One is 3/4 of an inch, one is 9/16. So this size wound as the penetrative wound. These are
Which
not
is an indication of the length of the blade.
and also a blade that could not dismember a body, right? This would not be the same instrument used to dismember the body.
Now, the body was dismembered. They describe all that in detail, but those types of cuts to take the body apart would be different than
Does the report say anything about the dismemberment or what they believe was used?
They don't say
no, it does describe it in a lot of detail.
But it's gruesome.
Yeah.
I don't know what your religion is, but this case is proof that some of us didn't come from heaven. Now, we got to give that up, man. I don't think God created all of us, man. I think the devil had a hand in some of us being created. Because anybody who is capable of this, truly imagine what just happened here. Stabbed up first off, to take somebody's life by a knife, you got to have some level of psychoness in you, bruh. To take somebody's life with a knife is quite possibly one of the most personal things you could ever do. It's traumatic. It's not easy. You are feeling their life leave their body with each and every stab. He still would be a disturbed human being if he would have did it by shooting her or, I don't know, drugging her. But to do it with a knife and to feel that person's soul leave their body, it does something to the average person, bruh. The fact that this dude was able to hop on a plane, go ahead and party, have a good old time laughing, great poker face as if nothing happened the day before, then come back and hop on tour and have a tour and he's playing with coffee.
And I don't know the exact details, like I said, throughout the times of the trials, we'll get a couple update videos, here and there. But I heard somewhere, I don't know how true, I have no facts, maybe he'll speak on it, but I heard that she had confronted him and had said, not verbatim, obviously, we don't know what was said, but something along the lines of that she was going to expose him. Like, she was basically saying, I'm about to air you out. I'm about to air you out for all this, the devious shit you've been doing. And apparently, supposedly, not too long after, she was murdered. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I've heard. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I've heard going around.
At his tour dates, playing with blood-filled shirts at his tour dates, singing songs like Romantic Homicide that essentially describes what happened when the music was filmed before. The fact that his mentor was able to handle all of this tells me this is not a normal human being. This is somebody who we truly have to acknowledge in the likes of Ted Bundy. Because when you see him interact with other people, rather it's on stream or during these interviews, he's soft-spoken, he's charming, has a bright smile. We truly have to start considering, David might be like Ted Bundy. And if he was able to do this so easily, if he was able to conceal this little girl's death for so long, imagine who else he did it to. And they continue
going on tour.
If y'all think that, after hearing what you're about to hear, of limbs being missing, fingers being cut off, if you think that Celeste is his only body, I think y'all are out of y'all mind.
And so there's a word that's used, may, that it may have been caused by this. The defense is going to jump on that.
Oh, they'll
because
definitely
they're not saying it's conclusive, and it aligns with what we've been hearing, which is they were having a really hard time determining how she died.
Well, look at the passage of time.
Well, she was decomposed. She was decomposing. It gets harder to identify what has happened to the body when, time has naturally taken course. You know what I'm saying? And it's been altered and cut up and stuff.
Yeah. The passage of time to determine this is long. It's many, many months.
There's also, and it's conflicting, and we still can't quite figure it out, but there are references to finding presumptive positive indications that she had both meth and MDMA in her system.
Although additional screenings showed that to be not detected, but the initial screen said presumptive.
It seems like there were two tests taken, two tox screens. The initial one detected MDMA and methamphetamine. Subsequently, they did a confirmation test, and it was unclear whether there was MDMA, but methamphetamine, but no sign of MDMA at that second confirmation test.
I mean, ultimately, is that going to matter when you get to trial, whether or not she was
probably not
any drugs?
Well, they may argue. They may argue it was an overdose. I don't know what they're going to argue, but they'll latch onto what they can.
That's true.
But look,
it wouldn't matter because who supplied it? Did he supply it? How did she get? She's still a child. You know what I'm saying? I think every single factor matters. You know what I'm saying? This isn't we're saying, you know what I'm saying? I think there's enough evidence, at least, or connection, public connection that he and her has put out. I don't want to say in her because she did, but I seen that they, were, they showed themselves with their fans that they, he was obviously kidnapping her. That's how I'm gonna call it. I'm not gonna say a relationship. He was kidnapping her, and it was shown. So,
The coroner was on the stand for 8 days in that case. So this is going to be the centerpiece of the case because, you know, what the DA is saying is we have evidence she threatened David that she would expose their relationship, probably in a text. That's the way they make it seem. And that she goes to David's house on April 23rd, 2025, never to be seen again.
Right.
So now the question, what happened? So the prosecutor is going to say he stabbed her to death. And here are these 2 wounds. And then you're going to have the defense coming out and saying, look, number one, you didn't say conclusively, you're saying may. And this is a reasonable doubt case.
The medical examiner also released their reports. And I'll be real, bro. Seeing this, man, I don't see how anything other than a death penalty is appropriate here, bro. So they confirmed 2 things. She was missing both arms above the elbows and both legs above the knees. Now, underneath the body bag was a black trash bag that contained the descendants' apparent compiled bilateral arms and legs. They appear to have been dismembered. It was horrifying. This degenerate freak really murdered that little girl and thought
I didn't mean that.
Level of like psychoness in you, bruh. To take somebody's life with a knife is apparent to have been mutilated.
Sorry.
So this dude probably kept this as a trophy, man. What a weirdo. And I did not locate them during my scene examination, so they're missing. They're gone. She has a tattoo that reads shh on the side of her right index finger. I did not observe any discernible scars or tattoo. I don't even want to know what that weirdo and sicko is doing with those fingers, but his next court date is in like a week or 2, so we're going to keep on covering this. Let me know in the comment section, what are you guys' thoughts, man? Why do y'all think he did this, bruh? Because to me, it can't just be that she was gonna out him, because there's other things like bribery, like you could, but to just murder this girl in the, let me know in the comment section, okay? And if you're still watching this video and you want to watch another good video, click on this video here somewhere on my screen to find out how All-Star JR just self-snitched and trolled his way into a federal indictment for the beef with NBA YoungBoy goons that left NBA.
What do I think happened? Do I think it's a possibility? I mean, if that's a point that they're bringing up, I'm sure that's what's happening. That's a strong point to be going off of. Like, hey, we have physical proof that she has said, like, she was coming over to confront him about a situation. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's some story they'll be dying about, especially putting out into the public. So I do believe that. Why? I literally know nothing about this man's music. I know nothing about his character at all. I only know him from this unfortunate situation for Celeste. And I just want to say I can see like this kind of stuff like in the very few clips I've seen of him on stage and the type of music he, you know what I'm saying, and the type of lyrics that he was singing or rapping, or I don't know what he does. It kind of points to like, you know, I have a crazy mind like this. That's why Loki can't get behind some of these artists that's like really repping the like, you know what I'm saying? Like I can't get behind some of these artists that's like repping that, I'm gonna just say demonic shit, like that real like serial killer, like creepy, like I have nothing going on in my brain. Like I can't get behind that type of music because I just genuinely think you're crazy. I genuinely think you're crazy, and I think you're all going to end up like this. Like I don't know, like it just points to signs. So like I can't say like, oh, why would he do this? He was showing signs that he was crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I seen some lines, like yeah, like it's in his music. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's in his music. He's telling us. He told y'all. I didn't know who this man is. I still don't know. I'm not going to listen. I haven't heard a single song from him. I'm not going to listen because obviously not. But, like, I just hope this little girl, I hope this girl gets justice. And this is so unfortunate. And it's just manipulation. Like, I hope there's nobody defending this. Like, oh, she was with him. She was spotted with him. She was a child. She was a child. She was a child that was being manipulated and deceived and lured and preyed on. At minimum life. Interesting video. I forgot your name, Flacco. You know, we might check back in with you with the court cases, or we might watch another video, but I can't watch too much of this shit. This shit is just so deeply disturbing. I know that's ironic coming from me since I watch crime type videos, but we'll check in on this case. W video.